Colts' best and worst offseason moves, according to ESPN, here on Colts Talk, presented by PrizePicks. By the way, be sure to use code HMA. You'll get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup on PrizePicks. Yeah, it's been a heck of an offseason. Not done yet, but from what we've seen, ESPN listed the Colts' best and worst offseason moves. We're going to break those down. Plus, I got some training camp info for you guys if you're interested in attending or keeping an eye on things. But first, ESPN is going to give their opinion. You're going to give your opinion in the comment section, but what does the other Colts fan in your life think, right? You can think of another Colts fan. Be sure to share the video with either a friend using your social media. Share today's video so you can hear others' opinions. Be sure to do that right now. Let's start with the best offseason move that the Indianapolis Colts made, according to ESPN once again here. Arden Key, that's right, the pass rush addition in free agency. And I've deemed this one of the more low-key moves for the Indianapolis Colts, not one we've heavily discussed in general, but, they added Arden Key in free agency, and then immediately people started talking about who else they could add at the edge rusher position. Now, I do want to talk about this from Bill Barnwell. General Manager Chris Ballard has tried to draft and develop edge rushers with limited success, and the Colts moved on from the likes of Kwity Paye and Tyquan Lewis this offseason. Laiatu Latu took a step forward as a pass rusher last year, and the Colts will hope for a breakthrough season from 2025 second-rounder JT Tuimoloau. But Indianapolis needed another edge rusher in its rotation and didn't have a first-round pick to go after one. Thus, we land on Arden Key. So Bill Barnwell essentially saying, look, the Colts keep taking edge rushers. They didn't have a pick to take another one. They needed a stable, real edge rusher in general. Hello, Arden Key, right? Here we are with Arden Key, who I have hit many times on the show, experienced NFL pass rusher, veteran edition, but not like veteran where it's like final year 1 or 2 of his career. He does agree to a 2-year, $16 million contract. 11 of that is going to be guaranteed. So I don't think this is like a break the bank contract either to add a solid veteran addition to a group that needed help, right? When we talk about the Colts, the pass rush, not only did they need to add bodies, but they needed to add experience and quality to that group as well. Arden Key is an underrated signing for the Indianapolis Colts. For all the reasons I just talked about, veteran edition, not too pricey, could start for you right away. He's going to be an adult in the room with some younger pass rushers in general. And look, I know the fans have gotten excited or were excited, still excited about bigger names. You wanted Bosa. You want Trey Hendrickson. All these names that were out there, some still out there. You wanted those bigger names. And again, I hit on the fact that, those bigger names definitely were slightly promised to you or you got excited about those names in general. But it's possible at this point in time with this addition, I think Arden Key's your best edge rusher. With a lot of the unknowns of these younger guys, you look at Key, and I know we have 1 and 2 here, but I think he lines up and is probably your best edge rusher, your most consistent edge rusher, most experienced edge rusher, and a guy who has done it at a high level in the NFL, and we expect him to continue to do that with Indianapolis in general. Look, he's got years where he really, looks a little bit better than he does in other years, but when you have a guy that sticks in the NFL, plays a lot in the NFL, Key is one of those guys in general. And I will say, Chris Ballard on those other things there kind of talked about, we'll see on an edge rusher addition in general. And, I do think that's interesting, but, at this point in time, I'm not thinking the Bosa or other big name edge rusher is something the Colts are going to do. That's my personal opinion. We know Ballard said we'll see after the draft on adding another edge rusher. What I think we need to do at this point in time is think of Arden Key as the big edge rush addition or the big edge rusher addition that you thought you would get. Maybe that's disappointing for you. I definitely understand that idea. But the Colts made a quality signing, not overly pricey, and a veteran addition in general that will be able to help the Colts in 2026. And I think that's great overall. Just may have to adjust your thinking. You're not going to it's looking like you're not going to get Joey Bosa. You didn't get Trey Hendrickson. Should be pretty happy, though, with Arden Key. The excitement around the Indianapolis Colts is growing right now, which is why we want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's show. That is SeatGeek. People are excited to get back out there and watch games in person. The MLB is in full swing. Football getting closer and closer. Oh, and by the way, World Cup tickets. Yeah, on SeatGeek. I love using SeatGeek. It's always the app we send in the group chat, me and my buddies, when we talk about going to a game or concert, and I know we'll be using it in the upcoming season. That's because SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so when you're on there, you know you're getting a good deal. All you have to do, look for the green dots. Green means good. Look at those red dots. See the red dots? That means bad. And, of course, I have a code for you guys today, whether you're a new or existing user. That's right. You can use code CHAT10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code CHAT10. Make sure if you click the link in the description and download the app, you'll have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it to, again, save 10% off any tickets with promo code CHAT10. That leads me to say, thanks, SeatGeek. So you add Arden Key to the pass rush. I know I just hit on my point. I don't think another name is coming. I don't think Joey Bosa or any other edge rusher is going to be added by the Colts. It'd be great if they did. It would add depth, but at this point in time, you saw that group. You got rookies. You got guys you're hoping to develop, and that's the big thing here. I think the reason Chris Ballard and company are happy with the group they have, plus Arden Key, of course, is they think there are other guys, younger guys, that are going to develop. ESPN kind of talked about it. Laiatu Latu is definitely the biggest name I think that they're expecting development-wise for the Colts and their pass rush and their ability to get after the quarterback. Year 3 for Laiatu Latu. Definitely a very exciting one. Definitely a pivotal one for the Colts' former first-round pick. You look at his stats, first 2 years. Biggest thing for me as as somebody, watching NFL in that NFL world, development, all that, just get better. Get your numbers better, look better on the field, gain the confidence. We look at the numbers, seems like the numbers are getting better from year 1 to year 2 with the Indianapolis Colts, right? That's a good thing for Laiatu Latu. You're also getting good comments from the staff. Here's what defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo had to say about Laiatu Latu. He's not built like a typical defensive end. Great lower body strength. But you can see him up top. His upper body wasn't as developed. He's done a great job of getting stronger over his career so far. Also notes about the person. He's a jack of all trades. He likes different things off the field. Shows you Anarumo likes Latu, right? He's going to be unbelievable as he continues his process as a football player. He's on his way to 10+ sacks last year, and I think he'll get there this year without a doubt. He's always dialed in as a worker and as a teammate. Everything about him says team. So the stats are getting better, and the word from Lou Anarumo with Laiatu Latu, he's getting better in general, right? So that's kind of a double, good thing there for Latu. So we have the addition of Arden Key, Laiatu Latu's development, more development, which we're going to talk about in just a second. I need a prediction from you guys right now. Simple. Better or worse? Will the Colts pass rush be better or worse in 2026? It was one of the worst in the NFL last season. Type B for better. Type W for worse. This is your chance to join the show by being heard in the comment section below. Then there's our guy, JT, or now going by Jalen Tuimulau. Look, not good enough as a rookie. They used a second-round pick on this guy, and again, they're counting on him to have a bigger, better, insert word for year 2 with the Indianapolis Colts, and kind of looked at him last year and just kept waiting for it to click, waiting for it to happen, waiting for him to get going. And as a guy that hosts our Ohio State football show, I do also want to note, we had the same thing at Ohio State. He would just have these giant games, and you'd be like, there it is. And then he'd kind of just even back out. And for one of the highest rated recruits Ohio State ever had, one of their premier prospects and recruits that they got, they expected more. And look, he was good for Ohio State, but they thought he'd be great for Ohio State. So now he's in the NFL. He's okay in year 1. And again, just a rookie year. Now the expectations go up a level. You're a second-round pick. You're developing. You've had some time under your belt. Want to see if JT can get a little bit better for the Colts coming up here. So that was the best move, believe it or not. We do want to get to the worst move listed by ESPN. Bill Barnwell of ESPN listed Daniel Jones's 1-year guarantees on his contract as their worst offseason move. That's right. If you remember, the Colts did have a transition tag on Daniel Jones, which was about $38 million. Instead, they get a 2-year, $88 million deal. It can get up to $100 million, by the way, we should note. And the big thing Barnwell and ESPN didn't love was a $50 million guarantee for Daniel Jones in year one. And again, Barnwell kind of hit on the fact that it was like he could have just done the transition tag at 38 and figured the rest out later. Here's the deal on that one. I can live with this being the Colts' worst offseason move, right? Sealing up Daniel Jones and giving him most of the money in the year one. I think that's a good thing. Again, something I can live with, something I'm not going to hate too much on as their worst move. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you're like, man, really fight against it. We hate this Jones contract. I don't know. I actually thought the worst move of the offseason turns out to be, and I get it was a money thing at the time. Seems like the Michael Pittman trade is definitely just going to be something that escapes this team, talked about on this team, and looked at in a certain way for the Colts in general. But I will hit again. Hindsight's 2020. They had to get under the salary cap at the time. They wanted to pay Alec Pierce. They wanted to pay Daniel Jones in general. So yeah, I think definitely that move was kind of tough in general on the Colts, and especially now when you look at the salary cap, they have about $31 million. But again, that saved you 28 at the time. So again, you'd be really cutting it close if you still had Pittman. That was my worst move of the offseason. I think they could have done other things to make it happen. But again, Bill Barnwell going with that Daniel Jones contract, especially the guarantees on it, which is $50 million in year one. It is time for our prize picks question of the day. My question for you, what do you think the Colts' worst offseason move has been so far? Think about draft picks, think about contracts, think about missed opportunities. The prize picks question here, the Colts' worst move of the offseason. And while you guys are answering that question, I'm going to show you a lineup we have for the upcoming season. Plenty of quarterbacks that we think are going to have big years. Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck, new weapons for those guys. Dak Prescott, our guy Tom Downey here in the office, thinks he's going to have a big year. And then I have labeled it Big Year Burrow as well. I think he's going to have a good one. Notice here, we picked the names, we picked the stats, we picked more or less touchdowns for most of the guys there. And then Burrow, we went for his passing yards in general. That's how easy the lineups are to put together on PrizePicks. And a reminder, we have a new user offer for you guys. If you download the PrizePicks app today with the link in the comment section and description, then use code HMA, you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And why? That's because on PrizePicks, it is good to be right. One more time, be sure to use code HMA on PrizePicks when you download the app. As promised, we'll get you guys some training camp info to walk out of today's Colts talk. Big thing, the Colts have 13 practices scheduled. Good thing, and not all teams do this. They're pretty much open to the public. You can go to so many of them, different experiences if you want, different things you guys can take part in. I think that's a really good thing in general. Here's some training camp dates for the Indianapolis Colts that you guys can take a look at. You start at the end of July. You go into mid to late August there. Again, all practices open to the public. That's what Colts.com says. You have a night practice on August 6th. That'll be from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's pretty interesting to me. Most of the other dates, kind of in that 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. ish window. And again, the Colts will have joint practices too on August 19th and 20th if you guys want to get in on the action there. Thanks for watching Colts Talk. Be sure to subscribe.